Einar gripped the handrail, knuckles white, as the research battlecruiser Ymir's Fury lurched through the warp. Around him, the hum of ancient engines vibrated through the metal deck, providing a comforting thrum against the unsettling green haze that filled the viewport. Einar, a freshly minted kin from the Guild of Prospection, had only known the stolid certainty of his home forge world. Now, he was a speck, hurtling through the swirling dimension between realities on a pilgrimage to the uncharted reaches of the galactic rim. "Easy there, young one," rumbled a voice beside him. A squat-like figure, clad in the orange and grey power armor of the Votann kin, chuckled. "Everyone experiences jitters when they encounter the warp for the first time. It tries to go in your mind." Broker, Einar's assigned mentor guardian and guide, was a veteran with a weathered face etched with stories of 1,000 journeys. His beard, a tangled mess of ginger braids, seemed to pulsate with static electricity, a testament to his long years spent tinkering with malfunctioning warp drives. "It's not the warp itself," Einar admitted, forcing a smile. "It's the unknown. What lies out there, beyond the charted sectors?" Broker's smile grew wider. "That's the real question very few ask, lad. That's why we're here. The Leagues of Votann don't build spaceships just to admire the view." He gestured toward the viewport, where the warp's emerald chaos flickered with fleeting shapes. "The guild masters believe there's something out there," Einar said, his voice filled with a mixture of awe and trepidation. "Something beyond the orcs and the pirates, even beyond the Imperium's reach." "Aye," Broker boomed, his voice echoing in the cramped corridor. "Whispers of ancient technology, of alien civilizations lost to time. Maybe even a way to stabilize this infernal warp travel or a way around it." He winked. Einar couldn't help but laugh. Broker, despite his gruff exterior, possessed an infectious enthusiasm that calmed Einar's nerves, a spirit of adventure that faces all dangers head-on. They continued their walk, passing by kin clad in workshop aprons, their goggles reflecting the eerie green light. The air crackled with the quiet hum of activity, a testament to the tireless work ethic of the Leagues. Suddenly, the rhythmic hum of the engine stuttered, the lights flickered, casting grotesque shadows on the metallic walls. Alarms blared, a shrill counterpoint to the rising murmurs of panic. "What's happening? What's going on?" Einar cried, his heart pounding in his chest. "Warp hiccup," Broker said, his voice surprisingly calm. "Happens more often than you'd like. Hold tight, lad." Ymir's Fury lurched violently, throwing Einar against the wall hard. He quickly scrambled to his feet, adrenaline coursing through his veins. The viewport flickered, revealing glimpses of a swirling vortex filled with jagged teeth and glowing eyes. As abruptly as it began, the crisis subsided. The engines groaned back to life, and the lights flickered back to normal. A collective sigh of relief rippled through the corridor. "See?" Broker spoke with a chuckle, clapping Einar on the shoulder. "Nothing a good dose of engineering ingenuity can't fix." Einar, however, couldn't shake off the unsettling feeling. The brief glimpse into the warp's heart had left him with a cold dread. Later that day, Einar sat hunched over a data console in the research bay of the battlecruiser, his brow furrowed in concentration. The bay buzzed with activity as elderkin scientists analyzed data from the warp anomaly. "Anything interesting, young one?" Einar looked up to see Amara, a young kin with deep, intelligent eyes that shone with the same thirst for knowledge he felt. She was a member of the research team responsible for examining the warp anomalies encountered during the voyage. "Not much yet," Einar admitted. "The readings are all over the place. It makes it hard to discern any patterns." Amara leaned in. Her voice was a conspiratorial whisper. "They say some of the senior researchers suspect interference." "Interference?" Einar echoed, his eyebrows shooting up. "From what?" Amara shrugged. "They won't say so, but there's talk of rogue demons, or maybe even..." She lowered her voice even further. "Ancient Xenos guard their secrets." A shiver ran down Einar's spine. The prospect of encountering something older and more dangerous than the Imperium itself was both terrifying and exhilarating. Days turned into weeks. The Ymir's Fury continued its relentless march through the warp, each day bringing a new challenge. A malfunctioning plasma reactor threatened a meltdown. A rogue asteroid shower forced a harrowing evasive maneuvers. Yet, despite the dangers, a sense of camaraderie blossomed among the crew. Ymir learned to navigate the labyrinthine corridors of the ship, forging friendships with engineers tending to the temperamental engines and cooks who whipped up surprisingly hearty meals in the mess hall. He even found himself drawn to Ymir, her passion for unraveling the mysteries of the warp mirroring his own. One sun-drenched morning, when the ship transitioned back into real space, a collective gasp filled the bridge as the viewport revealed a breathtaking spectacle. A swirling nebula, vibrant with hues of purple and crimson, filled the view. In its heart, a lone star blazed like a defiant beacon. "The Coronis Expanse!" Captain Sigrun, a stoic kin with a metal eye patch, declared, her voice resonating with quiet authority. "Uncharted territory, folks. We're the first League vessel to set eyes on this." A cheer erupted on the bridge, a wave of exhilaration that swept through the entire ship. Ymir felt a surge of excitement course through him. This was the reason he had left the familiar confines of his homeworld to be a part of something bigger, to push the boundaries of known space. For weeks, Ymir's fury charted its course through the unexplored nebula. They encountered bizarre space phenomena, shimmering gas clouds that sang ethereal melodies, and asteroid fields studded with glittering, unidentified minerals. Each anomaly was meticulously documented, and each discovery was a thrilling addition to the vast knowledge base of the Leagues. However, the sense of wonderment did not last. One day, sensor readings picked up a faint but persistent energy signature. It wasn't the familiar chaotic hum of warp travel or the static of a rogue asteroid. It was something different. "Captain," the navigator reported, her voice tight with anxiety. "The signature seems artificial. It's emanating from a large object, an abandoned space station, perhaps." Captain Sigrun's face hardened. "Abandoned or waiting? We don't know who or what might be out there. Prepare for a cautious approach." The Ymir's fury edged closer to the derelict station, a skeletal metal structure that seemed to hang in space like a forgotten monument. Ymir, alongside Ymir and a team of veteran halfkin, donned their combat-armored suits, their hearts racing. As the boarding party docked with the station's airlock door, a tense silence filled the compartment. Ymir took a deep breath, the taste of recycled air heavy in his mouth. "Remember your training, kin," Captain Sigrun's voice crackled over the voice channel. "Be cautious, but don't hesitate to engage. Hesitation is the end out here." Ymir nodded with steely resolve, hardening his gaze. He had embarked on this voyage seeking the unknown, and now the unknown stared back. The moment, etched in his memory, marked the start of a series of events that would challenge their knowledge, challenge their courage, and forever change the trajectory of the Trans-Hyperian Alliance. The door hissed open, revealing the dark, echoing interior of the abandoned station. They stepped in, their heartbeats the only sound in the vast emptiness, and the long march took a sharp turn, leading them deeper into the mysteries of the Coronis Expanse. The derelict space station loomed before them, a labyrinthine maze of rusted metal corridors and flickering emergency lights. The smell of stale coolant hung thick in the air, and oppressive silence pressed in from all sides. Led by the stoic Captain Sigrun, the boarding party moved with practiced caution, their weapons trained on the shadows. Ymir, adrenaline coursing through his veins, couldn't help but be awestruck by the sheer size of the station. Ancient consoles, their screens long and dark, lined the walls, hinting at a technology far beyond anything the Leagues possessed. Scattered datapads lay dormant on the floor, their contents a potential treasure trove of forgotten knowledge. Suddenly, a flicker of movement in the corner of his eye caught Ymir's attention. He whipped his laser pistol around, heart pounding, but saw nothing but dust motes dancing in the dim light. Ymir, ever vigilant, nudged him with a knowing smirk. "Just your nerves, young one," she whispered, "but good on you for staying sharp." The ship's scanners detected a faint energy signature as they continued deeper into the station. The deeper they ventured, the stranger the station became. The metal walls etched organic shapes unlike anything known in the Imperium. The glowing runes pulsed with an otherworldly light, casting an eerie glow on the kin's faces. The air grew colder, a prickling sensation that sent shivers down Einar's spine. Then there was a sound, a low hum, barely audible at first, but growing in intensity with each step they took. It resonated not just in their ears, but in their bones, sending a primal unease clawing at their minds. "Captain," one of the veteran kin, a grizzled engineer named Borin, spoke over the voice channel, his voice laced with worry. "This doesn't feel right. The energy signature, it's not what we expected." Captain Sigrun nodded grimly. "Hold your positions. We don't know what we're dealing with here." As if on cue, the metal floor beneath them lurched. Alarms blared, with red emergency lights strobing wildly. The corridor twisted and contorted, the walls pulsing with an unnatural light. It appeared that the station was awakening. From the distorted metal ahead, a grotesque figure emerged. It was humanoid in shape, but warped and twisted beyond recognition. Its skin was a sickly green, and its eyes glowed with malevolent purple light. It let out a screech that tore through the air, sending shivers down Einar's spine. More of the creatures emerged from the warping metal, their guttural roars echoing in the confined space. The kin were caught off guard. Their initial surprise allowed the creatures to close the distance quickly. The battle that ensued was brutal and chaotic. Laser beams lanced through the air, meeting the creatures' crackling energy blasts. Einar, with his training kicking in, fought with a newfound ferocity, his laser pistol spitting bolts of energy. Amara, a whirlwind of motion, cut through the creatures with her power axe, her face veiled in grim determination. Captain Sigrun, her eye patch glowing with an emergency override, blasted a hole in the station wall with her plasma rifle. "To the escape pods!" she roared over the din of battle. Einar and Amara, wrapped in the green ichor of the fallen creatures, fought their way back towards the boarding point. The station, now in the full throes of its awakening, twisted and pulsed, threatening to crush them all. Just as they reached the pods, a massive claw, pulsating with sickly energy, slammed down, blocking their escape. Despair threatened to engulf Einar, but Amara, ever resourceful, spotted a maintenance hatch tucked away in a corner. "There," she yelled, yanking him towards it. "That might be our way out." They squeezed through the narrow hatch, tumbling into a dark service tunnel. Behind them, the station groaned, the echoes of pursuit filling the confined space. They stumbled onward, adrenaline their only fuel, until they emerged into a vast docking bay filled with mothballed starships. Hope flickered in Einar's chest. Maybe, just maybe, they could find a way out of this nightmare. But as he surveyed the decaying vessels, a grim realization settled in. Trapped aboard a derelict station, they raced through the unknown reaches of the Coronis expanse as a race of hostile entities awoke from their slumber. The long march had taken a dark turn, and the fate of the leagues of Votann, as well as their own survival, hung in the balance. The docking bay was a cavernous space, dimly lit by flickering emergency lights. Rows upon rows of long-dormant starships stretched into the darkness, some sleek and vaguely familiar, others bearing alien designs. Hope flickered in Einar's chest, then sputtered out. Most of the vessels looked centuries old, entombed in dust and decay. "There has to be something," Amara muttered, running a hand through her sweat-dampened hair. "Some escape pod, some working shuttle." Einar joined her in a grim search, their boots crunching on the ancient dust. Debris either welded shut or jammed most access panels. Desperation began to gnaw at him. They found themselves stranded, like prey trapped in the awakening maw of this derelict station. A high-pitched whine echoed through the bay, followed by a grinding of metal. Einar and Amara whipped around, laser pistols raised, but saw nothing. The sound came again, this time closer, accompanied by a faint metallic glow pulsing through the darkness at the far end of the docking bay. "Over there!" Amara hissed, gesturing. They cautiously crept toward the sound's source. The glow intensified, revealing a colossal hangar door slowly grinding open. Inside, shrouded in darkness, was a silhouette, a ship. Not just any ship, a vessel unlike anything Einar had ever seen. It was sleek, almost organic in its design, with its curves and lines flowing seamlessly. Glowing runes pulsed faintly along the hull, humming with unseen energy. Einar exchanged a glance with Amara, a silent question hanging in the air. Was this their salvation or another horrifying entity awakened by the station's transformation? Taking a deep breath, Einar activated his Vox channel. "Captain," he called, his voice thin in the vast space. "We found something, a ship, but we don't know." Static filled the channel, and the voice crackled through. "Report, Kin Einar. What have you found?" Einar described the ship, his words punctuated by the station's ominous groan. Silence descended again, broken only by the rhythmic hum of the ship's power core. "Hold your position." Captain Sigrin's voice finally came through, laced with a hint of tension. "We're analyzing data from the station's archives. It may contain information about that ship." Trapped between the awakening station and the unknown ship, Einar and Amara found a shadowed alcove and huddled together. The air grew colder, and the hum of the ship was now resonating through their very bones. Time stretched into an eternity, punctuated only by the drips of coolant leaking from a ruptured pipe. Finally, Captain Sigrin's voice cut through the oppressive silence. "Kin Einar, Kin Amara," she said, her voice grim. "The archives, they speak of a prototype vessel built by an ancient Xenos race, a ship capable of interdimensional travel." Einar's jaw dropped. Interdimensional travel? Was this their ticket off this cursed station, perhaps even a way back to their own League fleet? "But," Captain Sigrin continued, the weight of her next words heavy, "the same archives warn of the vessel's instability. It is said to be a gateway, not just between locations, but also between realities. A gateway that can unleash unimaginable dangers." A knot of fear tightened in Einar's stomach. This was an impossible choice. A desperate gamble on an unstable alien vessel versus the growing threat of the station's monstrous inhabitants. He looked at Amara, her face reflecting his own turmoil. "We don't have much time," Captain Sigrin's voice crackled through the Vox. "The station is reaching a critical point. You need to decide, Kin. Do you take the risk or face the consequences within the station?" The monstrous screech of the awakening creatures echoed through the hangar bay, a grim reminder of their dwindling options. Einar glanced back at the ship, its alien glow beckoning like a siren song. He swallowed hard, a knot of fear constricting his throat. "We'll take the ship, Captain," he said, his voice surprisingly steady. "Prepare for an emergency retrieval. We're going for it." Adrenaline flooded Einar's system as he relayed the message to Captain Sigrin. A gamble it may be, but compared to the grotesque horrors closing in on them, the alien vessel seemed almost benign. Amara, ever resourceful, already began tinkering with a nearby control panel, hoping to decipher the Xenos technology and activate the ship's systems. The hangar door continued its agonizingly slow ascent, revealing more of the sleek, organic form of the vessel. The runes pulsed faster, bathing the docked starships in an otherworldly light. Suddenly, the ground beneath Einar lurched. A colossal shadow loomed over the docking bay as one of the station's monstrous inhabitants, whose form appeared even more grotesque in the flickering light, emerged from the breached hull. "They're here!" Amara shouted, her voice straining. "We don't have time for finesse!" With a desperate swipe of her hand across the control panel, a jolt of energy ripped through the bay. The alien vessel hummed louder, its runes glowing with an intensified brilliance. The monstrous creature roared, charging towards them, its claws outstretched. Just as the creature lunged, a blinding flash erupted from the alien vessel, bathing the entire docking bay in white light. Einar squeezed his eyes shut, screaming in his throat. When he opened them, the world had shifted. The monstrous creature, the docking bay, the entire derelict station, all gone. They were suspended in a swirling vortex of colors and chaotic energy, the alien vessel seemingly holding its own against the turbulent flow. Einar felt a sickening lurch in his stomach as the ship twisted and turned, defying all known laws of physics. Where are we?" Einar gasped, clinging onto a nearby support beam for dear life. Amara, her face white but her eyes gleaming with a spark of excitement, gripped his arm. "Interdimensional travel, remember? We just took the plunge." Einar's heart hammered against his ribs. They were hurtling through an unknown dimension aboard an alien vessel of unfathomable power with a crew of 1.5, if you counted Amara's boundless optimism. This wasn't just a detour on the long march, it was a complete departure from the familiar, a leap into the vast, terrifying unknown. However, as the chaotic vortex subsided and a new vista stretched before them, a sight of impossible beauty filled the viewport. A swirling nebula, unlike any they had encountered before, pulsed with vibrant hues of crimson and gold. In the distance, a network of colossal space stations, unlike anything built by the Imperium or even the Leagues, glittered like forgotten jewels. "Welcome to the Coronis Expanse, beyond the veil," Amara said, a wide grin splitting her face. "Welcome to the real unknown." Einar stared in awe, a mixture of terror and exhilaration bubbling within him. They had gambled everything on a desperate chance, and somehow, impossibly, they had survived. The long march had taken a turn unlike anything he could have ever imagined, leading them not just to the edge of the galaxy, but perhaps to the very edge of reality itself. The alien vessel, a bridge between dimensions, hummed expectantly. Ahead lay a network of alien structures, a potential treasure trove of knowledge and resources. However, with every promise of discovery came the looming threat of the unknown. The question hung heavy in the air. Would this new expanse offer salvation for the Leagues, or would it become their final resting place? The answer, like the vast swirling nebula before them, remained shrouded in mystery.